All right, we'll link up now with Omoniyi Modu and TJ Suadeye in our Abuja studio for FCT Brief. Good morning, guys. Over to you now.
Good morning, Veronica and the team over there.
Yeah, good morning, Etoma and the very pretty ladies.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's nice to have this all Lagos and here in Abuja.
Yeah.
Yeah, TJ, just a few days ago, the president launched 2,000 tractors to help boost agri development. And yesterday there was this strategic alliance with Brazil in key areas. My focus, my interest is in the agricultural aspect. And what's your thought about this new initiative?
Well, I think it's a very good one. 2,000 tractors is quite huge. But my fear is I hope it doesn't end up on private farms or just for photo ops, and at the end of the day it goes to waste. I hope it's put to good use, because if this is actually given to farmers, this will lessen the burden on them, and this means more production. That means more food for the population, and also this may also drive the prices of food low. I don't know if you know we are considering going into agriculture. Maybe this is a good sign.
Good window, and with the strategic alliance with
but
Brazil.
I hope that this is actually sustained. We see deliberate actions in terms of agriculture, even investments in the country. So I hope that this is sustained, and the right action is being taken, and they are protected. It's one thing to initiate the project, is another thing to sustain it. So I hope that they are properly sustained.
Exactly. I think the President Tinubu's government should be commended for this bold step to help diversify the economy, and agric is one key way to go. Apart from food production, it can massively employ the Nigerians. And when you talk about this strategic alliance with Brazil, I hope that Nigeria will take a good advantage of this strategic alliance, because Brazil has tremendous strength when it comes to agri production. They're number one in so many things, in soybean production, sugar production, coffee production. I'm talking globally, number one. Coffee, orange juice, in export of all those things, Brazil is number one. So when you're having an alliance with such countries, what are we bringing to the table?
Of course, Nigeria has a lot of natural resources, and it's also good. We have good land. We have fertile land. Yeah. So it's just for us to maximize what we have.
Beyond the natural resource, we should add value. We talked about the 30% value addition before export.
Yes.
So government should take it seriously, so that when we're dealing with Brazil, it's not just about exporting the primary produce, it's adding value to what we get from the farm before we'll export. So that
I think that has to do with political will, and I think we're already seeing that.
And we're saying it also, that political will must come. Now let's go into what we have for you today. Now, good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is FCT Brief. Now, today we are delving into the education sector, where learning remains on hold in public primary schools across the Federal Capital Territory. It's been 9 weeks into a strike action, and teachers under the local council's education authority are refusing to return to classrooms, citing the failure of authorities to implement the agreed minimum wage structure. Now, the strike, which began over 2 months ago, has disrupted learning for thousands of pupils, leaving parents, pupils, and education stakeholders increasingly frustrated. Now, in once busy public primary schools in Abuja, silence has replaced the usual morning chatter of pupils. Classrooms remain locked, and teachers are nowhere in sight.
Teachers under the Nigerian Union of Teachers say they are being shortchanged and insist they will not return to work until the full implementation of the new minimum wage is effected at the local council level. The FCT administration has so far made no definitive announcement on when the issue will be resolved. With each passing week, the education of thousands of children hang in the balance. It remains to be seen how soon the authorities will resolve this impasse and get pupils back to the classroom. For now, the standoff continues. For more on this disturbing standoff between the FCT authorities and Teachers Union, let's speak with Nimdir Charity Nansoh, the CEO of House of Purpose Africa, and she joins us live via Zoom from Jos. It's good to have you on the program, Mrs. Nansoh. All right, also joining us here in the studio, we have the Media Manager, Center for Human Rights and Civic Education, Kolawole Omoniyi. It's also good to have you in our studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
Nice to have you here.
Well, let's start with you. It's quite unfortunate that we are talking about teachers' wages and, minimum wage not being affected, especially for a critical sector like education. But the strike has also been linked to the refusal of the council chairman to pay that 70,000 minimum wage. But yet, fingers are pointing to the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, for not, effecting this and seeing that, this is resolved amicably. Why aren't the chairman being blamed for this infraction?
Yeah, they should be blamed. They are part of the stakeholders anyway. But when you have a situation like this and you have a number one citizen of FCT coordinating the affairs of the state or the FCT, which to some they will say, okay, is the governor of the state or mayor, so to say. So in that kind of situation, we should be expecting him to be in charge of whatever the situation in the education sector in Abuja. We've been experiencing blame game here and there. Okay, I've done my part. I've released funds to these people. They've not been able to pay teachers. I can't sack them. They are fully elected officials. So if we continue witnessing this kind of situation, the question we should be asking is, why must education be relegated? Why other sectors, infrastructure are being prioritized? We have politicians, they have a number of fora where they meet. If you check the number of local area councils chairman we're talking about, if you tried all means that you could not be able to get them, what about the political means? Number 1, 2, 3, 4 citizens in this country are staying right now in the FCT. Now we have FCT minister here too. 5 out of 6 chairmen we're talking about are members of the ruling party. So what kind of measure are they putting in place to make sure that we get things right? These people have been complaining that, okay, you claimed you released funds to us. The minister claimed over 4 billion naira. They said the money was not meant to pay minimum wage. So what about the level of accountability? If you've not been able to say, okay, you claim that you've sent this money for them to go and pay. They had a meeting with the House of Reps Committee on Education, and they said, okay, this money is not meant for teachers or workers in our council to be paid for their minimum wage. If that is the case, then we should be asking questions that who should be held responsible, who should be held accountable in this regard. So that is why we're saying, okay, we should stop this blame game. We need these students back to school. Because if you have been constructing roads, you have been building infrastructure, I could remember in January, you knew how the FCT minister have been shutting most of the Chinese companies or some of these places where they used to sell scraps, because most of this infrastructure that have been put in place are vandalized and being sold to some of these companies. So if we have over 200,000 students outside here, hawking, roaming about the street, doing nothing, then it should be a source of concern. Okay. And to me, it's a national embarrassment. Okay,
good. You said national embarrassment. Now, Madam Nimdir Nansoh, let me come to you with this. Well, your colleague here just talked about national embarrassment and that FCT is supposed to be like the flagship of this nation. We have the National Assembly in here that actually help to make laws for the FCT. And we have a senator in the FCT. We have the senator, the minister of the FCT is there. We have a senator also representing the FCT. Now, if all these individuals and politicians have kept quiet all this while, you as a woman, how does that come across to you that children, our children, have been at home for over 2 months because somebody says it is the money we have is not meant to be paid as the minimum wage to teachers? What's your thought on this? Okay, just help us respond to this particular question I just raised.
Yeah, the point is we can't continue like this. Like I said, we have to ask these people clear questions. This money, what was it meant for? When we unanimously agreed last year that we are to pay minimum wage, I remember Minister of State made it last year. She said, even if we are not paying it this month, we have to pay all the arrears. So what happens to the irregularity we've been battling right now. And this is the fate of most of the local government areas nationwide. But here in FCT, we have been on strike for 3 good months. So if that is the case, they should be asking this chairman, they should come clear to tell us, okay, we've collected this money for this, and the reason why teachers' priority should not be in place. The reason why these people should remain at home, at least some of them have started paying, but they claim that, oh, they've not got the arrears of what they're supposed to pay them by now. Some even, they started at a point they paused. They didn't continue. And some, even in some of these teachers are even complaining that, okay, if you're on the same grade level, you're on the same payroll, some of them they don't get the same amount of naira every month. It's still part of their complaint. And the sin these people committed was, I went to the same university, higher institution with you. I have the same grade, the same degree with you. You got employed under the FCT administration, and I got employed under the area councils. The reason why they are being maltreated in this manner. So if that is the case, we should not be throwing this blame game. I'm not in charge. It's not part of my role. When a politician needs something done urgently, they are desperately to get it. So this should not be in isolation.
Well, earlier you mentioned that the minister gets praises for the road and city projects, but yet some people say that he's ignoring the deeper issues like human capital development and education as it stands. Can we really call a city developed if, the teachers and the schools are suffering?
We can't. That's what we've been saying. Because whatever you think you are building, the moment you cannot be able to take care of education, you have to pay for it later. We are just shifting that day, that evil day, we are postponing it. For instance, if you check our national budget, you know that security always carries the larger vote, almost 9 point something, close to 10% in this year budget. Why? Because of the people you refuse to train. And you are now need to take some measures to make sure that you take care of insecurity. So if that is a problem, why can't you tackle it from the root cause? Why do we agree and we call it a law the moment National Assembly agreed that, okay, this is the amount we are to pay? You saw the back and forth before they agreed on this 70,000 naira. Some of them are still having reservation on the amount. But you now claim that, we don't have enough money to do that. So they should checkmate themselves. They should be able to sit together. They've been sitting. We are tired of sitting anyway. We want action this time around.
All right, we'll come back to that, but that will be right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Brief, and we're still discussing minimum wage as it affects teachers being owed salaries here in the FCT. Now, Nimdir, it's worrying that about 13% of out-of-school children are being found in the FCT. How do you think this long strike would impact, this number that we currently have?
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. It will affect and impact them profoundly, and that's really sad because we're talking about primary education here, and these children have been out of school for this long, and when education should be priority in a country where it's unfortunate that we still call Nigeria a developing country. So in a developing country, education should be priority. But even from the budget, you'll see that education doesn't even come close. Our budget is basically, 7.3% of 100. And how then can you say that government has prioritized these children? Basic education is not given priority. These children are at home, and the people who should be talking are not talking. I'm talking about the Minister for Education. This is happening right in the FCT. And I've not heard that the minister, I've not read anywhere that the minister has made a statement about this strike. and he is the Minister for Education. This is his constituency, and these children are just at home. I think I'll stop here for now.
Let me come to you with this. She talked about the Minister of Education, and there's a lot of stakeholders that are critical in helping to resolve this. You talk of the Minister of Education, you talk of Senator Irete Kingibe, who is the Senator of the FCT, you talk of the Minister of the FCT. But my worry is it just a problem, this minimum wage, with the primary school teachers or the entire civil service in the FCT? Is it the same situation others are facing, or they just single out the primary school and refuse to pay them?
You know, statutorily, the area councils are responsible for taking care of teachers' basic education in their respective locations, and that of primary health care. That is why those two sectors were majorly affected. When it has to do with secondary school education, FCT minister or administration is in charge, and they are being paid. You don't hear some of these things. This preferential treatment has to do with the way their money are being monitored. For instance, we've been talking about financial autonomy for area councils. They've not been able to achieve this. Whenever they are releasing money, it still comes to, at a point, even the president confirmed that the FCT minister or the entire Abuja has been exempted from a treasury single account, meaning we get more money to the cover of the FCT administration.
Exactly.
But giving it to these people, it may be a problem too. So to those people that are under payroll of the FCT administration, they don't have problem with this minimum wage. Only those that are under the area councils. The chairmen have been complaining that we don't have enough money to do that. Here is now the point. If the FCT minister is, I've given you people 4-point-something billion naira. So if they are now claiming that, okay, this money is not meant to pay teachers or primary health care workers, then explain to us in clear time what is it meant for. Because this is part of the reason why many stakeholders have been agitating for these people to free. And you are not even allowing them to free financially alone. They should be monitored. Because it's part of this weak system that people feel like, you can just do whatever in Nigeria and you get away with it. That is why they will be telling you that, this money is not meant for teachers, it's meant for this. And the FCT minister is claiming that, okay, I've given you people's money. So if that is the case, where is the responsibility of our Financial Crime Commission? I mean, the EFCC right now, they've been hearing this back and forth stories. So they should be able to at least chip in to say, okay, can we investigate what is going on here? We have a number of political Yahoo guys too, that they need to be investigated. So if that is the case, we don't want to be hearing these stories again. For instance, not only FCT, this is affecting. I remember like 2 years ago, I traveled to Kebbi State. Workers there were complaining that they've not even experienced 30,000 naira minimum wage implementation. Then, so many of them are still struggling with this kind of situation just because they are under area council. Like I said, they went to the same university, they got the same certificate, but for you to get employed under area councils, then you have to suffer this kind of maltreatment. It's not fair to them.
All right, Nimdir. You spoke about the FCT minister being silent, the education minister being silent, are all concerned that are not talking. But beyond the talk, what real actions do you expect from these select people to do to solve this crisis? Nimdir Nansoh, do we still have you online?
Be quite proactive, quite fiery with Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. So, Minister Wike has been known to be quite proactive and even fiery, if I may say, about how he goes about his activities. And it just baffles me that he's not saying so much. Now, we read in the news that he released the sum of 4.1 billion naira to the council chairman. And he says that the money was to settle this salary, this outstanding issue, so that the strike can, be resolved, that the teachers can go back. They went to the House committee and said that it is signature allowance. Senator Ireti Kingibe was there. The other representatives were there. What is signature allowance? And isn't it a shame that when your teachers are on strike, over 600 schools are shut down, and we're talking about signature allowance? Are the chairmen collecting their salaries? Are they being paid? Teachers have been on. Are they being paid? Like I said, the Minister of Education, why is he quiet? I see that in the budget, when he was defending the budget, he talked about.
Okay, all right. Let's come to you with this. I recall also that we had a history where we have this huge backlog of salaries of primary school teachers before the government of Abacha came in and helped to resolve. I'm saying this to say that I hope it's not, is it like a grand plan, because there are those who are agitating that primary school should be removed from the control of local government and handed over to the states. But in a true democracy, in a federal system, the states have nothing to do with primary education. It is the responsibility of local government. Now, if it is a constitutional responsibility, how do you think we can deal with that issue so that we don't fall into the trap, say, okay, let's move it away to states? Now, if the minister said, I released, should it even be a situation where a minister or a governor is releasing money, or is the money coming straight from the federal accounts? Why are we at this same level where a governor or a minister of FCT will say, I release money to local council?
It is more of unlawful move anyway, because we all understand our Supreme Court ruled regarding financial autonomy for local government. If they have enough funds, what we need to do is to get a good system in place, strong institutions, to monitor these people, to make sure they do the right things. Payment of workers, infrastructure. Mostly now, most of local governments nationwide, they've been relegated to payment of workers' salaries. Mm-hmm. When you go to some of these locations, they're more of like ghost stand. So if we continue in this manner, for how long are we going to be developing our grassroots in the name of, okay, we need to take it from them? It's not a matter of taking it from them. It's a matter of, okay, how can you make them responsible? Let them go with their money. Oh, you have the fear of, if they collect the money, they will not do the needful. If they do, if we have strong institutions to follow up with them, because you can't, we are in a situation whereby you hardly even trust any politician, regardless of where you're coming from. Most of the people we have right now, they came from grassroots. Some of them were local government chairmen before they became governors, and some other position like that. So if that is the case, it's not a matter of saying, okay, let us take teachers away from these people. So what remains? Most of them now, no proper mechanism to even hold them accountable, because they will have that blame game of, oh, you don't give me enough. It's because you are not giving me that, so I'm not doing anything. And if you even do the right thing, most of these teachers too, they can also follow up with them, because most of them too, they've seen the weak system. Many of them too are collecting salaries. Most of them, some are even more than what the required number at a particular location. But because we don't do the right thing, we don't have enough time to now check these people one after the other to say, okay, we need to hold you responsible. The excuse now, for instance, now, the salaries are being paid right now, monthly. They are collecting their salaries, but they are not in class in the name of we want arrears. So if we do things the right way, it should be done, then every single stakeholder should be held responsible. All
right, Nimdir. Council elections are coming up in the FCT, and we're already seeing campaigns starting. Is it not right to insist that if the students do not return back to the classrooms, then there will be no vote in these elections?
Absolutely. I think that it's time that we stop being as docile as we are. Why should elections hold when children have been out of school for over 3 months, over 90 days? Children are out of school and somebody that is responsible for this is not being held to account and he wants to run for election? It is no. It should not happen, not even in a country like Nigeria. And I mean, what beats me is that I'm going to keep talking about the minister and our representatives that are being so lackadaisical about this issue. Some of these people, they enjoyed free education. And to have this number of children out of school at this time and somebody is thinking of election is just, it beats me. I mean, in this time, in 2025, children are out of school and we're talking about elections. It should not happen. And this is the point where I want to say to all of the civil society organizations that have been coming out, even individuals, people like VDM, that are coming out to protest. These are the issues. These are the issues that they should tackle. These are the issues that they should insist that no elections should hold in the FCT until children are back to school.
All right, Nimdir, we'll still come back to these issues, but let's take a quick break now. It's still FCT brief, and we're still discussing teachers' wages.
Nimdir, my own thought about election is that election is a periodic event. It should hold, but you see, they say true power belongs to the people. Election should hold according to the timetable. But the people have the power to decide who wins in an election. So rather than say the election should not hold, my thought is that the people should also decide who. If you have not delivered on certain things to the people have a right when they go to the poll to use their poll to sanction whoever is responsible. Should that not be the better way to look at it? Nimdir.
Well, I absolutely agree with you that people should be able to take these people who have kept our children out of school away from power and bring in people who we assume. But again, who says that in Nigeria elections are really credible and fair? Who says that these people will not return into office and continue this? I mean, this is almost indescribable. Whatever it is, this strike that is going on. So for me, I think that, especially being that it is the FCT, I mean, elections should be placed on hold. These children should be made a priority because the thing is, education is too important for us to joke with. And if the system does not do what it should, the other side of the system, the negative, recently in Jos, it was in the news, not only in Jos, I think several states across the country, we found what do they call them, Yahoo academies. People are teaching Yahoo. If you don't take these children to the classroom, somebody is going to take these children and turn them into criminals. We're sitting on a time bomb. And if we're not careful, we think that we're going to have elections very soon. The place will not even be safe enough to have elections. These people are going to be running away because these children that they are refusing to prioritize are the ones that are going to grow up not being used to going to school, and they're just going to become miscreants. We're sitting on a time bomb, and I don't think elections should be a priority right now.
All right, Mr. Omoniyi. Many schools under the FCT Universal Basic Education Board are in poor shapes. We have leaking roof, not enough teachers, low learning standard. How should we rate the board's performance so far?
Yeah, I think that's one of the demands of the teachers too, that they need to at least put in more infrastructure. And if you go around, check in some of these rural communities, you know that the situation is critical over there. So based on that, we can say, okay, for now, they're not performing to the level of expectation. And one of the things that you will know is that most of these locations, they are affected by the original inhabitants in Abuja, largely. And these are kind of people that probably even their parents were displaced from their ancestral homes, and you are now being subjecting them to this kind of a situation. I think it's not fair to them. It's not fair. And if you have politicians' children going to school, going to private schools, schooling abroad, and you just neglect them, it's not fair. And like the other person talked about election not being old, trust politicians. Even if it is a day or 7 days to the election, they will find a way of fixing it, this problem, and suspend it again. It may resurface again, and we keep moving. For instance, I remember before the 2015 election, you knew how the level of insecurity was then, and is building up right now. Before you know it, when election is approaching, it will calm. They will calm the situation. It may resurface later. It means we don't have a strong system. We don't have strong institutions to fight some of these battles. And the earlier, the better we use our power that we have as electorate to fix what we are battling right now. And like I totally agree with him, how do we achieve this? It's for you to insist that I want to do the right thing. I want to vote a right leader. They've been pushing for independent candidacy now. I hope it scales through in the ongoing constitutional review. If it scales, it means anybody, regardless of whatever we call primary election, that they have to subject them to rigorous process before your party can say, okay, go and contest on our behalf. It means anybody can contest. So with that, Nigerians should be shy away from, okay, we want to collect 5K, 10K to go and cast our votes. Let them know that we have that power to do and undo. So the moment we can be able to achieve that, and I'm saying this not because of 5,000, 10,000, as that many people are condemning that, oh, what 5,000 naira? So if you think you are bigger than that 5,000 naira, if they are paying you 10 million naira, will you still compromise or not? Not until when we reach that stage before we can say, okay, we are making progress.
All right.
Very well said. Kolawole, Omoniyi, it is a pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Also, Nimdir charity Nansoh, it's good that we spoke with you this morning. Unfortunately, your network wasn't really smooth for us to have a very robust talk with you, but we must say thank you for the little we got from you this morning. Well, that's where we'll leave our conversation this morning. We'll now hand you over to our Lagos studio where Veronica and the rest of the crew are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.